Hello, sports card collectors and investors. I hope everybody is having a great day. I'll be honest, it's kind of rainy here today, kind of gloomy. Hoping that kind of figures itself out here in the next few days. It's been a weird summer. It hasn't been blazing hot like it normally is here, but it's been kind of like it's 85 one day, it's 60 the next. So it's been kind of odd. But anyway, I'm making this video for all the people that have their significant others that are looking at them sideways in the, as packages come in the mail, and they're kind of asking like, hey, what's up with this? What's up with that? Now, I'm not here to say that everyone is profiting and everyone is making millions in sports cards. I am not here to say that. I'm not here to say that that's what's going to happen for everybody. So before everyone knocks on me in the comments about it, that's not what I'm saying here. But what I am going to do is I'm going to highlight a few examples. And to be honest, this is only just a very small group of examples. There's many, many, many other examples on top of the ones that I'm going to give today as to how folks have made some serious money buying and selling sports cards over the last 12 months, over the last couple of years. And I'm not even talking about people that have bought 5 years, 10 years ago and now are ready to sell, because those are that's a whole different ball game there. So I titled this Cardboard Millionaires because I believe that there are people that have made maybe not $1 million. I think there are some that have made $1 million selling cards in the last 12 months. I see how it can be possible. Are there people that have made 100,000, maybe 200,000 in profit selling cards over the last couple of years? I do think so. I think that's happened. I'm not one of those people, in case you're wondering, but I firmly believe, just based on these examples, but not even just these. Like I said, there's 100 different examples of cards, more than that really, where you could have profited over the last 12 months or slash 24 months. And so, like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into some examples. The big example and kind of that big sale that happened recently was Vegas Dave came out and he sold a Mike Trout card that he bought for, I believe he bought it for $170,000 2 years ago. He just bought it, or he just sold it for $900,000, and so he made a video talking about how he made over $700,000. And granted, there's probably seller fees and things mixed into that as well. But the point is that he made almost $1 million in one transaction. Now, granted, that was the most expensive modern card ever sold, or tied for it, I should say, tied for the most with, I believe, a Logo Man basketball card. But still, it gives you kind of the idea of, hey, there is some serious money to be made. Granted, yes, that's on the very, very high end. That's the top of the spectrum. But now he did say that he spent a ton of money and gone in heavily on David Carr, and David Carr is going to win a Super Bowl with the Raiders, he thinks, in the next 3 years. If that does happen, if David Carr wins a Super Bowl with the Raiders in the next 3 years, then Vegas Dave went back in time, Back to the Future style, got the sports almanac, and is making betting. He's making sports bets and he's buying cards based off of that, because he's right. I mean, honestly, if he's put in a ton of money on David Carr, not a lot of people have put a lot of money on David Carr. So that's really moving your chips in, on a guy that most people are overlooking. Now, does David Carr have upside? Yeah, absolutely. I think that he's kind of in that middle of the, he's in that, there's a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL that are middle of the road. Matthew Stafford, Carson Wentz, even Dak Prescott. These guys are very, very good players. I know people are going to yell at me that Dak Prescott and David Carr are not the same. Fine, that's fine. But the point is neither one of them have accomplished anything in the postseason. And I think that's my point, is a lot of these guys, kind of fall into that middle bracket of quarterbacks in the NFL that have talent but haven't necessarily capitalized or kind of gotten over the hill, kind of broken through. So anyway, let's go ahead and dig in on some of these cards, some of these examples, just because I think that some of these will be surprising to you. Some of them won't be, but some of them will be. So let's first talk about one that many people are aware of. I was fortunate enough to get a few of these before the season started last year, and this is Luka Doncic's Base Prism PSA 10. These were selling all day between $50 and $70 from March 19th or March of 2019 to October of 2019. Can you believe that? You're talking 6-7 months of these being at $60, $70. if you bought, of course, we're just throwing out numbers here, but there's more than 10,000 of these on the PSA Pop Report, more than 10,000 in existence. If you bought 1,000 of them back then you spent $70K, let's say $65,000, $70,000. Fair market value on those cards right now is $550,000 to $650,000. It's 8-9 times where it was. Now, granted, if you posted 1,000 of them on on eBay, all at $650, then it probably wouldn't bode well for. You probably wouldn't be able to sell them all at that price, and it would probably just be too much supply in the market. It would actually probably suppress pricing a little bit. But the point is, if you're selling these kind of incrementally at that price over time, and who knows, maybe it goes up from there. It's at $550 to $650. Maybe that's $1,000 card in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. We really don't know. I think that they're already kind of overpriced to that $600 range, but there are a ton of people that do not agree with that and that think that that it can go much higher, and the demand is there right now. And will the demand grow, especially as as Luka grows into his career? Very well could. So that's my first example that I'm using. Now, granted, that's one card, one example, and Luka was, all of his stuff skyrocketed over the last 9-10 months. But I'm just throwing that out there as one example. I mean, you could also use his Silver Prism. You could use his Select Rookies. You could use, you could have made $100,000, $200,000 just on Luka cards if you were all in on Luka cards a year ago. If you had dumped in 50 grand, like Vegas Dave did on David Carr, I think he said he's even more in on him. But I'm just saying, if you put 50 grand in on Luka Doncic cards 12 months ago, you're making some serious dough. So anyway, that's one example there. Next up, I'm going to talk about LeBron James 2003 Topps Chrome PSA 10. This card is now approaching $10,000. Is what I'm seeing as far as recent sales, $9,000 to $10,000. If you were looking for this card 5 years ago in PSA 10, it was a $500 card. This was a $500 card 5 years ago. So, you think about the gains there if you happen to get it 5 years ago. 2 years ago, it was a $1,000 card. So even 2 years ago, it was still $1,000. It wasn't crazy. Now it's a $10,000 card. And does it have room to grow? Probably. It probably does. I don't have the PSA Pop Report right in front of me. If you guys have that, if you know that just offhand, I would be interested to know, just because, and part of the reason why I'm just kind of thinking out loud on it, I think that there's about 1,500 of them, but I could be wrong. I'm just throwing out a number there. But I kind of think about Michael Jordan's 86 Fleer. There's 312 of those, I believe, on the PSA Pop Report. So I use that as kind of like for these LeBron rookies, how much can it grow? How much can it go up? And we're actually going to talk about Jordan next. But I try to use some of those as comparisons. All right, next up, 86 Fleer Michael Jordan PSA 10. Been getting a lot of fanfare recently because of the sales are at all-time highs for this card. And like I said, Pop Reports, there's just over 300 of these in a PSA 10. 2 years ago, this was a $20,000 card at PSA 10. Just 2 years ago, it was 20 grand. That's where the sales were. Recent sales, as many of you know, are in the 80 to 95,000. I think one of them went up to 99 or 97, 96, 97. So it just shows you that in 2 years, that card has gone up 4 times, almost 5 times. Now, granted, that is quite possibly the most iconic card, basketball card that there is. So, people are going to say, well, that's just kind of that's just an outlier on this, and that's fine. But, Jordan cards in general, but also just think about leading up to the documentary, all of the other Jordan cards that there's a zillion of them, whether that be 87 Fleer, 88 Fleer, all the stickers, all the different inserts from the 90s that people have been selling. And you can look at a lot of those cards have gone up 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times. So again, if you're a longtime collector / investor in this, if you went ahead and sold, you cashed out pretty nicely here in the last 12 months. All right, next up, I'm shifting gears to a more modern card. 2013 Prism Base Giannis in a PSA 10. if you were buying these right before this last season started, so in September of 2019, so what is that, 10 months ago? 10, 11, yeah, 10 months ago, it was a $500 card in a PSA 10, $500. Looking like a pretty nice bargain. I remember I've been talking about, buying hoops now for Giannis rookie cards in PSA 10 because they're about $500 right now. This card now is selling for $2,700 to $2,900 regularly. So it's 5 times, 6 times what it was 9 months ago. So, I mean, again, just kind of gives you an idea of what's happened to cards over the last 9, 10 months. Just unbelievable. I'm going to switch over now to baseball. And this, again, one example of baseball. You could probably look at many, many, many examples in baseball. I just picked out 2017 Bowman Chrome, first Bowman, Ronald Acuna, in a BGS 9.5. 2 years ago, it was an $800 card. So still, fairly pricey. I mean, it was $800 2 years ago. Now it's a $2,200 card. So it's almost tripled in value, over the last 2 years. And that's just one example. And then if you're looking at raw cards, if you're looking at all the different rookie cards, I mean, you've just seen such a massive increase. Now, not for every player, of course. We're not saying that every single player has seen increases. That's not true. But, if you were picking these blue chippers and, a lot of the prospects that were all already somewhat proven to some degree, just some massive, massive gains. Let's look at one. I mean, this is not a guy that's necessarily been super, super expensive. Here's a Shaq card, 1992 Stadium Club Beam Team Shaq in a PSA 10 in March. So, guys, this was 3 months ago. In March, this card was $1,000, $1,100. It's now $3,900, almost $4,000. And again, just one example where a card has gone up 3-4 times in a very short amount of time. And then I'm going to end on, this is, again, the most controversial set that we've been talking about now, but kind of the most obvious one to talk about if we're talking about just quick gains, Topps Project 2020. If you were buying these cards at $20, $15 in bulk, and you bought cards 1 through 70, 60, and then sold, kind of right before things kind of, melted down at the end of May there, I mean, you're talking about the Akira #1 card. I mean, that was one where that was a $20 card, and what did it go up to, as high as $3,900 or something? Or yeah, something like that. The Trout card has gone up to $2,500. These are 50 times, 60 times, 100 times more than what you paid for it in March. So, and again, very few people were on board with that, and that's why you were able to do that, because print runs were 1,000. You were able to move them quickly, and again, it's all it's timing. Project 2020 is the fastest growing set of sports cards ever. But I'm just using that as an example because I can't not include that set if we're talking about cards over the last 12 months and over the last 24 months and what's happened. So anyway, guys, I'm putting this out there as kind of an optimistic, inspirational message that, as we're looking and we're trying to make our own picks and do our best in the hobby. Yes, and it's not all about making money. Obviously, it's not. But there is an exciting element to the fact that cards really carry a lot of value and have the opportunity to go up in value like they have over the last 12 to 24 months. It's been a fun ride. Hopefully it goes on, and who knows, maybe it's the new asset class for young people, as opposed to maybe putting all your money in stocks, bonds, and real estate. Maybe now you're moving some of it into rare sports cards. Who knows what's going to happen. So this is just kind of a fun video, something different that I haven't done before. Guys, if you have not already, please subscribe. We're going to have daily videos as we've had. We have now over 110. I think this might be video 115 for us. So we put out a lot of content. I try to mix it up so it's to keep it interesting. And this is one that was a little different than stuff we've done in the past. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Comment below. Let me know some of your success stories. I'd like to hear it. And I didn't even dig into vintage. I mean, I could probably do a part 2, part 3 of this particular video And it's a fun one because it's a lot of, I just want to kind of put that research out there to show everybody. So, and also not to show you guys, because a lot of you already know, but for your significant others that keep on questioning you about this stuff, show them this video. I'm kidding. But anyway, have a great day, guys, and we will talk to you later.